Welcome to the Ask Coach Mac podcast, where coaches from around the world get their strength and conditioning questions answered.
What's up, guys? Rob McKeefery here, and welcome to episode number 12 of Ask Coach Mac. Thank you so much for joining me today. We have a great question from Dylan, but before we get to that, I want to thank today's sponsor, Iron Grip. Iron Grip has been leading the way in free weight design and construction for over 20 years. I've put their plates, dumbbells, and bars in 3 facilities, including my own garage where my family and I train. Please join me in thanking them for giving back to the strength and conditioning community by supporting things like Ask Coach Mac and numerous conferences and clinics that they're a part of. To learn more, go to www.irongrip.com. Follow them on Twitter at iron_grip or call 800-664-4766. All right, here's today's question from Dylan.
Hi, my name is Dylan, a strength and conditioning intern from Ohio. And my question is, would you utilize Olympic weightlifting or some variation of Olympic weightlifting for any athlete, ranging from a football player or basketball player up to a swimmer, golfer, or tennis player? Thank you.
Hi, Dylan, and I appreciate you asking this question. And this is something that has been with me for pretty much my entire career. I think early on, almost 20 years ago, the Olympic lifts, the high intensity debate, and being on the polar ends of things, where it was such a hot topic. I mean, it was almost like a religious fervor, the philosophy and the type of training that you adopted and were associated with, that you wouldn't even open your mind to the different possibilities of things out there. And so, I think with this, the first thing you need to realize, and people need to realize, is that you don't only need the Olympic lifts for each sport. I think most people will start, or people that are really strong with the Olympic lifts will be able to justify the benefits to the movements for any sport. And there is some benefit, obviously. I do the Olympic lifts in my program, still to this day, competed in them, and believe in the Olympic lifts for a lot of things. But it is not a catch-all for every sport. And so I think you got to step back and you got to look at the cost-benefit of any type of movement that you put into your program, not just the Olympic lifts, but any program. There is a cost to strength training. There is a cost to ballistic training. There's a cost to your speed and agility program, to the athlete. And so you always got to weigh out the cost-benefit to anything you put in your program. And so with the Olympic lifts, high speed, high limb speed, ballistic movements, there is a cost to the body. You combine that with the time it takes to teach very technical lifts. We can all agree that the Olympic lifts are a very technical movement, combined with training age of the different athletes that might be coming through, and it oftentimes is not worth the cost. And so there's tons of alternatives. I mean, obviously, your plyometric exercises and resisted plyometric exercises and med ball tosses and things along those lines can all be either regressions or the movement themselves to get the same benefit for some of these untrained athletes. I love the Olympic lifts. I was a competitive Olympic lifter. We're going to make sure that it's part of our program. I think for me, I love that it's multi-joint. I love that it trains multiple muscle groups. I love the increase in the neural pathways. And so a lot of times we will have the Olympic lifts in our program, but I am not only committed to just those lifts. It's a process. And so if a coach comes downstairs and says, if the head coach comes downstairs or the athletic director comes downstairs and says, I don't want the power clean, well, then we're going to get it in lots of different ways. We're going to do a deadlift, and we're going to do a high pull, and we're going to do a front squat, and we're going to be able to break that movement down and regress it and systematize it to where we're still getting the same benefits. Now, maybe not as efficiently, but we'll still get that a lot of different ways. And so, same with our athletes. If we're dealing with maybe a golfer that maybe this is the first time they've ever really been into a weight room, I'm not going to throw an Olympic bar in their hand and that be the first thing that they do. And we're going to regress it. We're going to do lots of plyos, lots of resisted plyos and med ball exercises and things like that to get the triple extension, to get the power benefits of the movements. And so, I like the Olympic lifts. It typically is going to be part of our program. I think if you're going to insert it and believe that it is the only thing that's going to benefit your athletes in one direction, well, then you got to turn around and you got to look at it from the other perspective as well. That if your best athletes on the field, if Olympic lifts are what's going to contribute to on the field success or in sport success, you got to turn around and say that your best athletes then are also the ones that are going to be the best Olympic lifters as well. And I mean that's the argument that you can go back and forth. That if they learned it, then obviously they might be because of their athleticism and things like that. But just because an exercise looks like something that's done on the field or court doesn't mean that it's necessarily that's the reason why it should be in your program. It should be in there for the deficiency of training and the multiple joint and multiple muscle groups and the neural pathways and all the things that I mentioned. And so to answer your question, I do like the Olympic lifts. Oftentimes it is going to be in our program. I'm not going to just include it just because it has to be there. I have zero reservations about replacing it with some alternative exercises or some regressions. But for the most part, we're going to have that in our program. So, Dylan, I hope that answers your question. We'd love to hear what everyone else thinks. Use the hashtag AskCoachMac12 to continue the discussion over on Twitter. I want to encourage everyone else that if you have a question that you would like to potentially be featured on the show, head over to www.askcoachmac.com. There you can ask your question by hitting the record button at the bottom of the page. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. And here's a quote to finish off the day by Socrates. No citizen has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. What a disgrace it is for a man to grow old without ever seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Take care, guys. I will see you in the next episode of Ask Coach Mac. Bye for now.